Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session, looking at the Haddington Masque. We haven't done masks for ages. We sort of vaguely started on some Ben Jonson masks, which is his one, and we did a divertissement on a totally different mask, and we're sort of back on the Ben Jonson vibe. This is a description of the masque with the nuptial songs and the Lord Viscount Haddington's marriage at court on Shrove Tuesday at night. 1608. I'm assuming that's technically is therefore 1607, but never mind. Years are wibbly wobbly when it's the early months of the year. We've got a wonderful set of readers who are going to be dancing their way through the text. Give a wave, everyone. I'm not going to read your parts out because they'll become clear as we go. I'll be reading stage directions, which are quite fulsome because it's a mask, and the problem with masks is that it's mostly visual and sound, and the amount of actual text you get from the actual performance is relatively minimal. So Ben Jonson has given a certain amount of gloss on this to in the printing, some of which may or may not be true into how it was staged. So we will get a sense of it as best we can. The worthy custom of honouring worthy marriages with these solemnities hath of late years advanced itself frequently with us, the reputation no less of our court than nobles, expressing themselves, through the difficulties of expense and travel, with the cheerfulness of undertaking, a most real affection in the personators to those for whose sake they would sustain these persons. It behoves us then that are trusted with a part of their honour in these celebrations to do nothing in them, beneath the dignity of either. In this proposed part of judgment, I adventure to give that abroad, which in my first conception I intended honourably fit, and though it hath laboured since under censure, I know that truth to be always of one stature, and so like a rule, who bends it the least way must needs do an injury to the right, cannot but smile at their tyrannous ignorance that will offer to slight me, in these things being an artificer, and give themselves a peremptory license to judge, who have never touched so much as to the bark or utter shell of any knowledge. But their daring dwell with them. They have found a place to pour out their follies, and I a seat to sleep out the passage. The scene to this masque, thankfully he gets to the point, was a high, steep, red cliff advancing itself into the clouds, figuring the place from whence, as I have been not fabulously informed, the honourable family of the Ratcliffes first took their name, and is to be written with that orthography, as I have observed out of the Master Camden in his mention of the Earls of Sussex. This cliff was also a note of height, greatness, and antiquity, before which on the two sides were erected two pilasters, charged with spoils and trophies of love, and his mother consecrate to marriage, amongst which were old and young persons figured, bound with roses, the wedding garments, rocks and spindles, hearts transfixed with arrows, others flaming, virgins' girdles, garlands, and worlds of such like, all wrought round and bold, and overhead two personages, Triumph and Victory, in flying postures, and twice so big as the life in place of the arch, and holding a garland of myrtle for the key. All which, with the pillars, seemed to be of burnished gold and embossed out of the metal. Beyond the cliff was nothing seen but clouds, thick and obscure, till on the sudden, with a solemn music, a bright sky breaking forth, there were discovered first two doves, then two swans, with silver gears drawing forth a triumphant chariot, in which Venus sat, crowned with her star, and beneath her the three Graces, or Charities, Aglaia, Thalia, and Eurosine, all attired according to their antique figures. These from their chariot alighted on the top of the cliff, and descending by certain abrupt and winding passages, Venus having left her star, only flaming in her seat, came to the earth, the Graces throwing garlands all their way, and begin to speak.
It is no common cause you will conceive, my lovely Graces, makes your goddess leave her state in heaven, tonight to visit earth. Love late is fled away, my eldest birth, Cupid, whom I did joy to call my son, and whom, long absent, Venus is undone. Spy, if you can, his footsteps on this green, for here, as I am told, he late hath been with divers of his brethren, lending light from their best flames to gild a glorious night, which I do not grudge at, being done for her whose honours to mine own I still prefer, but he not yet returning, I'm in fear some gentle grace or innocent beauty here be taken with him, or he hath surprised a second Psyche, and lives here disguised. Find ye no tract of his strayed feet?
Not I.
Nor I.
Nor I.
Stay, nymphs, we then will try a nearer way. Look all these ladies' eyes, and see if there be naught concealed lies, or in their bosoms twixt their swelling breasts the wag affects to make himself such nests. Perchance he'th got some simple heart to hide his subtle shape in. We'll have him cried, and all his virtues told, that when they know what sprite he is, she soon may let him go that guards him now, and think herself right blessed to be so kindly rid of such a guest. Begin, soft graces, and proclaim reward to her that brings him in. Speak, to be heard.
Beauties, have you seen this toy called love? A little boy, almost naked, wanton, blind, cruel now and then as kind. If he be a monster, ye say, he is Venus's runaway.
She that will but now discover where the winged wag doth hover shall to-night receive a kiss, how or where herself would wish. But who brings him to his mother shall have that kiss and another.
Hath of marks about him plenty. You shall him know him among 20. All his body is afire, and his breath a flame entire, that being shot like lightning in, wounds the heart, skin.
At his sight the sun hath turned, Neptune in the waters burned, Hell hath felt a greater heat. Jove himself forsook his seat. From the centre to the sky are his trophies reared high.
Wings he hath, which though ye clip, he will leap from lip to lip, over liver, light, and heart, but not stay in any part. And if chance his arrow misses, he will shoot himself in kisses.
He doth bear a golden bow, and a quiver hanging low, full of arrows that our brave Dian shot, where, if he have any head more sharp than other, with that first he strikes his mother.
Still the fairest are his fuel. When his days are to be cruel, lovers' hearts are all his food, and his bards their warmest blood naught but wounds his hand doth season, and he hates none like to reason.
Trust him not, his words, though sweet, seldom with his heart do meet. All his practice in deceit, every gift it is a bait, not a kiss but poison bears, and most treason in his tears.
Idle minutes are his reign, then the straggler makes his gain by presenting maids with toys, and would have ye think them joys. 'Tis the ambition of the elf to have all childish as himself.
If by these ye please to know him, beauties be not nice, but show him.
Though ye had a will to hide him, now we hope you'll not abide him.
Since ye hear his falser play, and that he is Venus runaway.
Yeah, so this, from behind the trophies, Cupid discovered himself. And came forth armed, attended with 12 boys, most antically attired, that represented the sports and pretty likenesses that accompany love under the titles of Joki and Rhesus, and they are said to wait on Venus, as she is prefect of marriage.
Come, my little jocund sports, come away. The time now sorts with your pastime. This same night is Cupid's day. Advance your light, with your revel fill the room, that our triumphs be not dumb.
Wherewith they fell into a subtle, capricious dance to as odd a music, each of them bearing 2 torches and nodding with their antic faces, with other variety of ridiculous gesture, which gave much occasion of mirth and delight to the spectators. The dance ended, and Cupid went forward.
Well done, antics. Now my bow and my quiver bear to show that these beauties here may know by what arms this feat was done, that hath so much honour won unto Venus and her son.
At which his mother apprehended him, and circling him in with the graces, began to demand,
What feat, what honour is it that you boast, my little straggler? I had given you lost with all your games here.
Mother?
Yes, sir, she. What might your glorious cause of triumph be? Have you shot Minerva or the Thespian dames? Heat aged Opus again with your youthful flames, or have you made the colder moon to visit once more a sheepcote? Say, what conquest is it can make you hope such a renown to win? Is there a second Hercules brought to spin? Or for some new disguise leaves Jove his thunder?
Nor that nor these, and yet no less a wonder. I think this is a stage direction after that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it? Yes. Okay. Hang on. Sorry. Where is this?
Bottom of the page.
Bottom of 4. Cupid, last line.
Nor that, nor those.
Yeah.
And then the following line looks like a stage direction.
Nope. They are. And
no, nor that, nor those, and yet no less a wonder.
Oh, yeah, no, and the next one is, and there slips from her is indeed, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Which to tell I may not stay. Hymen's presence bids away. 'Tis already at his night. He can give you further light. You, my sports, may here abide till I call to light the bride.
Venus, is this time to quit your car, to stoop to earth, to leave alone your star without your influence, and on such a night which should be crowned with your most cheering sight? As you were ignorant of what were done by Cupid's hand, your all-triumphing son? Look on this state, and if you yet not know what crown there shines, whose sceptre here doth grow, think on thy loved Aeneas, and what name Maro, the golden trumpet of his fame, gave him, read thou in this. A prince that draws by example more than others do by laws, that is, so just to his great act and thought, to do not what kings may, but what kings ought, who out of piety unto pieces vowed to spare his subjects, yet to quell the proud, and dares esteem it the first fortitude to have his passions, foes at home subdued, that was reserved until the parche spun their whitest wool. And then his thread begun, which thread when treason would have burst, a soul, today renowned and added to my roll, opposed, and by that act to his name did bring the honour to be saviour of the king. This king, whose worth, if God's virtues love, should Venus with the same affections move as her Aeneas, and no less endear her love to his safety than when she did cheer, after a tempest, long afflicted Troy, onto the Libyan shore and brought them joy.
I love and know his virtues, and do boast mine own renown when I renown him most. My Cupid's absence I forgive and praise, that me to such a present grace could raise. His champion shall hereafter be my care, but speak his bride and what her virtues are.
She is a noble virgin, styled the maid the red cliff, and have her dowry weighed, no less in virtue, blood, and form than gold. Thence, where my pillars reared, you may behold, filled with love trophies, doth she take her name. Those pillars did uxorious Vulcan frame. Against this day, and underneath that hill, he and his Cyclops are forging still some strange and curious piece, to adorn the night and give these graced nuptials greater light.
But before we have the entrance of Vulcan, we're about halfway through the text as we've got it. Let's take a little stock here. There's a lot of very charming stuff going on, and there is actually a relatively structured narrative to it. Sometimes with masks, you sort of go, okay, I sort of know what's going on, but it's like it's just an excuse for some dancing. But the queuing in of Cupid was really nicely done. The Grace's description was really nice. I can really imagine actually the kind of little dance that he's doing, and it's a bit of clowning via dance as well. And then, of course, we just open with this massive spectacle, which is really interesting. You really want to know, of course, what the mechanics was like for some of this, because, we've got these pillars. Okay, that's straightforward. And then you've got these sky with clouds, and skies with clouds was a thing. They had a system for that. We've got two doves, two swans. Anyone who likes doing their Lord Mayor shows will know how much we delight in mechanical animals. With silver gears drawing forth a triumphant chariot, and all of that sort of representational stuff that we get in civic pageantry as well, is actually, I'm sure people who've just watching this video by itself and never seen anything we've done before will not agree with this, but this is all incredibly familiar. If you do enough of these, it's just like, oh, right, here come the Graces. There they come. It's Venus and Cupid's going to be, do a thing. And there's, Cupid's got his, not quite cheerleaders, but he's got his, announcing squad from the crew Graces. So yeah, it's giving us stuff that again feels very familiar. And to say this nice little dance, I'm sure will be terribly cute. Thoughts on the room, Lois.
Well, I noticed there was a reference to the gunpowder plot in that long speech that we just had. Let's see, where is it? In fact, I think I don't know if the bridegroom somehow was connected with the discovery of it, because it says, I think, if I followed this, that opposed, let's see, which thread, he opposed, and by that act to his name did bring the honor to be savor of his king. And this is when treason would have burst, unless it might even have had to do with the Gowrie plot, if he was somehow involved in saving James from that. But at any rate, there's some sense that this is a courtier who has a history of loyalty.
Marriage of John Ramsay, Viscount Haddington, to Elizabeth Radcliffe. I do not have the background knowledge of the Jacobean court to be able to decode that for you. And that's one of the problems with decoding the Masque, is you kind of need to decode the soap opera of the courts, plural, of course, because there isn't just one court. So all of which is really interesting, but we don't quite have the time or the wherewithal to sort of be doing that level of court history. So I'm sure there's all sorts of stuff in there that is going to lead into that, and I'm sure will actually be very valuable in the future if we ever find any kind of way of doing any of these things. Anyone got a few million quid? We'll do your masque in the appropriate Jacobean fashion. The budget for this was £3,600. And if you get any conception of how much that, we are in the millions here. So dig deep, look down the back of the sofa, see what we can do. Any more before we move forward? Okay. Well, then let's dive into some Vulcan action. Here Vulcan presented himself as overhearing Hymen, attired in a cassock girt to him, with bare arms, his hair and beard rough, his hat of blue and ending in a cone. In his hand a hammer and tongs as coming from the forge.
I have done the best of all my life, and have my end if it but please my wife. And she commend it to the laboured worth, cleave solid rock, bring the wonder forth.
At which, with a loud and full music, the cliff parted in the midst, ooh, and discovered an illustrious conclave filled with an ample and glistering light, in which an artificial sphere was made of silver, 18 foot in diameter. Thank you, we like dimensions. That turned perpetually. I know exactly how big that is. The Curie were heightened with gold, so were the Arctic and Antarctic circles, the tropics, the equinoctial and the meridian and horizon. Only the zodiac was of pure gold, in which the maskers under the characters of the 12 signs were placed, answering them in number. Just for clarity as well, the signs that are going to be read off in a moment, we've split them into parts. It's probably all technically Vulcan speech, as they demonstrate those people in order, but I just thought that would be a bit boring for the reading, so I thought I'd break it up a bit. So the characters of the 12 signs were placed, answering them in number, whose offices, with the whole frame as it turned, Vulcan went forward to describe.
It's a sphere I formed, and round and even, in due proportion to the sphere of heaven, with all its lines and circles that compose the perfectest form, aptly do disclose heaven of marriage, which I title it, within whose zodiac I have made to sit, in order of the signs, 12 sacred powers that are presiding at all nuptial hours.
The first in Aries' place, respective pride of youth and beauty, graces in the bride.
In Taurus he loves strength and manliness, the virtues which the bridegroom should profess.
In Gemini that noble power is shown, that twins their hearts and doth of two make one.
In Cancer, he that bids the wife give way with backward yielding to her husband's sway.
In Leo he that doth instill the heat into the man, which from the following feat
Is tempered so, as he that looks from thence sees yet they keep a virgin innocence.
In Libra's room rules In Libra's room rules In Libra's room rules he that doth supply all happy beds with sweet equality.
The Scorpion's place he fills, that makes the jars, and stings in wedlock little strifes and wars,
Which he in the archer's throne doth soon remove, by making with his shafts new wounds of Louvre.
And those the follower with more heat inspires, as in the goat the sun renews his fires.
In wet Aquarius' stead reigns he that showers fertility upon the genial bowers.
Last in the fish's place sits he, doth say, or in married joys all should be dumb as they.
And this have Vulcan for his Venus done, to grace the chaste triumph of her son.
And for this gift will I to heaven return, and vow forever that my lamp shall burn with pure and chastest fire, or never shine but when it mixeth with thy sphere and mine.
Here Venus returned to her chariot with the Graces, while Vulcan, calling out the priests of Hymen, who were the musicians, was interrupted by Pyracmon, one of the Cyclops, of whom, with other two, Brontes and Steropes, see Virgil, Aeneid, etc.
Sing then, ye priests. Stay, Vulcan. Shall not these come forth?
Are you
and
talking
dance?
to yourself? I apologise.
I
Hang on. Sorry about that. Lois, if you can read Pyracmon,
Great,
please.
yeah.
Vulcans, do that again.
Sing then, ye priests.
Say, Vulcan, shall not these come forth and dance?
Yes, my Pyracmon, please. The eyes of these spectators with our art.
Come here then, Brontes, bear a Cyclops part, and Steropes, both with your sledges stand, and strike a time unto them as they land. And as they forwards come, still guide their paces in musical and sweet proportioned graces, while I upon the work and frame attend, and Hymen's priests forth at their seasons send, to chaunt their hymns, and make this square admire our great artificer, the god of fire.
Here the musicians, attired in yellow, with wreaths of marjoram and veils like Hymen's priests, sung the first staff of the following Epithalamion, which, because it was sung in pieces between the dances, showed to be so many several songs, but which was made to be read and entire poem. After the song, they came forth, descending in an oblique motion from the zodiac, and danced their first dance. Then, music interposed, but varied with voices, only keeping the same chorus, they danced their second dance. So, after the third and fourth dances, you get a sense of what the appeal of this occasion actually is, which were all full of elegancy and curious device. The latter two were made by Master Thomas Giles, the first two by Master Hieronymus Hearn, who in the persons of the two Cyclops beat a time to them with their hammers. The tunes were Master Alfonso Ferrabosco's, the device and act of the scene Master Inigo Jones, his with addition of the trophies, for the invention of the whole and the verses, etc. The attire of the maskers throughout was most graceful and noble, partaking of the best and most ancient and latter figure. The colours carnation silver enriched both with embroidery and lace, the dressing of their heads, feathers and jewels, and so excellently ordered to the rest of the habit, as all would suffer under any description after the show. Their performance of all so magnificent and illustrious that nothing can add to the seal of it but the subscription of their names. And we have a whole list of names: Duke of Lennox, Lord Walden, Earl of Arundel, Lord Hay something or other, Earl of Pembroke, Lord Sanquhar, whose name is actually Robert Crighton, no relation. Earl of Montgomery, he was an utter shit, by the way. Sir Robert Rich, Daubeny, Kenneth, and Erskines. Anyway, let's have the closing text, which was sung variously, but was supposed to be a poem.
Up, youths and virgins, up and praise the god whose nights outshine his days. Hymen, whose hallowed rites could never boast of brighter lights, whose bands past liberty. Two of your troop that with the morn were free are now waged to his war, and what they are, if your perfection see, yourselves must be. Shine Hesper, shine forth, thou wished star. What joy or honours can compare with holy nuptials when they are made out of equal parts, of years, of states, of hands, of hearts, when in this happy choice the spells and spells did have the foremost voice, such glad of Hymen's war. Live what they are, and long perfection see, as such as be. Shine Hesperus, shine forth, thou wished star. The solemn state of this one night were fit to last an age's light, but these are rights behind, have less of state, but more of kind. Love's wealthy crop of kisses, and fruitful harvest of his mother's blisses, stand then to Hymen's war, that what these are who will perfection see may haste to be. Shine Hesperus, shine forth, thou wished star. Love's commonwealth consists of toys, his counsel are those antique boys, games, laughter, sports, delight, the triumph with him on these nights, to whom we must give way, for now their reign begins and lasts all day. They sweeten Hymen's war, and in that jar make all that married be, perfection see. Shine Hesperus, shine forth, thou wished star, whose twice stays the bridegroom to invade her that would be a matron maid. Good night, whilst ye we may. Good night to you, a virgin say. Tomorrow rise the same your mother is, and use a nobler name. Speed well in Hymen's war, that what you are by your perfections we and all we may see. Shine Hesperus, shine forth, thou wished star. Tonight is Venus Virgil kept. This night no bridegroom ever slept, and if the fair bride do that married say 'tis his fault too, wake then, and let your lights wake too, for they'll tell nothing of your nights, but that in Hymen's war you perfect are, and such perfection we do pray should be. Shine Hesperus, shine forth, thou wished star, that ere the rosy-fingered morn behold 9 moons there may be born a babe to uphold the fame of Radcliffe's blood and Ramsay's name, that may in his great seed wear the long honours of his father's deed. Such fruits of Hymen's war most perfect are, and all perfection we wish you should see. Shine Hesperus, shine forth, thou wished star.
while everyone's doing a wonderful dance through that. And of course, here you get the sort of the message of what a nuptial marriage masque is all about. In his great seed, long where it's like we need heirs, we need fruits of Hymen's war, we need all of this stuff, which is yeah, a little icky today. But it's part of the ritual. It's part of what they were trying to do there. And of course, we have this. I love the way it's just Ben Jonson, isn't it? It's just like, well, it was supposed to be a poem, and they turned it into a song and broke it up between speakers. And I'm not happy, but so I'm doing.
Oh, Ben Jonson, not happy? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, who'd have thunk it? But yeah, but here again, in passing with the base, that last description of what actually happened, allegedly, we get, why are they there? It's for the dances. This is to set up the actual dancing part of it, where these terribly well-trained posh people get a chance to demonstrate how cool they are. Look at my finery, look at my steps, let me do the thing. And that's the ritualistic part of this as well, another ritualistic element to this that is not dramatic. It's a ritual, and it's we've had the art, and now we have the event, which has much artistry, but yeah, they're not distinct things. They are they merge into each other and do interesting things there. Lois.
Yeah, I think a lot of the point of this is, as you were saying, the sort of court background and knowing who all these people were, because I've read some of those letters between Chamberlain and Carleton, where quite often one of them will be describing the latest masque. And it's often things like, so-and-so spent apparently £200 on each of her daughter's dresses, and so-and-so, although he seems to have paid a lot of fines lately, had enough money to do this, and so-and-so is wearing this jewelry. I mean, they're really sizing up, people's people's material assets as much as anything, and just what this might show about their situation, or whether they're crazy and spending too much money.
Yes, in a sense, actually, coming round to this for second looks and for further development, the background material, because masks actually, a lot of these are really well documented with people's opinions and rumors and stuff. That material is actually almost more useful than the script. Because I mean, this one's quite detailed in a useful way. We know how Vulcan's creation out of metal of silver and gold must have been, and we got a sense of its size. We know the size of the room it would have been in. So we've got, good, useful, practical detail, but it's actually the occasion that matters in a sense as much, if not more. Lynn.
I would like to see a masque staged at one point. I mean, it's like a wedding reception and a Las Vegas floor show have a child.
Yeah.
I mean, what's not to love? Feathers and sequins, and it's and poetry and singing and beautiful singing voices and graceful dancing. I don't know. It would be really fun. Although, why?
Well, this is the thing: is that that's where also the hook comes in. I mean, it's having actually recently been to and sort of semi-embedded with a masque, the Lady Rachel Fane's household masque, which is a very different scale of masque activity, but actually getting a sense of that occasion and how it functions, and also the problem of the audience going, what do we do now? Because it's like we've explained what the event's like, but that doesn't mean you actually understand it. And yeah, to build that into an event, because in a sense, doing the primary bits of the masque are relatively straightforward to do. I mean, we know how to do that. Okay, we might not have the original music, but we could probably find good analogs. We can recreate the music. We can do the staging. It's the big dance numbers, basically. We need to find a lot of dancers who are really good, because, this is the point. They were actually really good at dancing, because that's one of the things they were trained to do. So, and you need these people to be in character and be dressed in that. And that level of costuming, skill set, you basically need to get the Royal Ballet. And cost and to do that part of the show. The rest of the show, anyone could probably pull together, but that element, unbelievably expensive and difficult to do. And then, who's your audience? Aliki, then Alan.
Well, I don't know a lot about masks, but right, since part of the fun of the original would have been seeing Lord so and so and Mistress such and such, who you would have only perhaps seen from a distance or carried things for, dancing and playing a character. And maybe the thing to do would be to do it in a community setting, to just spend a few months working with, I don't know, somewhere where there's a big old country house or a palace, and working with local people who are interested. You're not going to get the Royal Ballet, but you can get a really good, level of display from amateurs who are willing to put in the time. And why not?
Yeah. I'd say it is the question of how you're packaging it. And I think the history angle for this, because there isn't a proper analog for it today, a fashion show or a vodka launch or something, is the level of opulence and a dictator somewhere hiring a singer for a special one-off concert for his daughter. Is sort of the analog, and it's like, ethically we can't quite go down that route, but there's part of me thinking maybe I should just go to the dark side. Anyway, Alan, then Lynn.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with these masks seems to be they're an exercise in conspicuous consumption. You mentioned the original cost of this, which is horrendous. The other thing that intrigued me slightly is that all of the dancers who are credited in the text, it's all males. Is the suggestion it was only male dancers, or that would these have had appropriate partners?
Lois.
Yeah, I think some of the masks are all male and some are all female. But when they got to the big dance at the end, I think they took partners from the audience. That's the sort of general dance.
Yes. No intermingling before that. But there is a sort of codified. I think maybe fashions and things change as these things sort of evolve over time, and sort of you push the boundaries. And I'm sure there are people who'll be able to talk more on that. Lynn, then Aliki.
It would be hard to reproduce. I mean, I like Aliki's idea of getting people in a community involved, but part of the phenomenon in the early modern period was that all this expense and rehearsal and preparation went into an event that they knew was only going to happen once. So the kind of stakes are hard to reproduce, because I mean, it's like a wedding reception. You only get one chance with each wedding, however many times a person gets married. And one of the reasons that like brides get so psycho is that you only have this one chance to impress everyone with the decorations and the food and your dress and the music.
Maybe we just need to bribe a wedding planner.
Well,
Aliki.
the event that occurred to me was the opening and closing ceremonies of the Olympic Games. Which are, again, have a lot of political weight and are one big thing that you have to get right. But just intrigued by your suggestion of going over to the dark side. The dark side version is, I think, they have some immersive role-playing games that aren't just dinner mystery theater like I used to do, but entire weekend experiences with elaborate sets and costumes. Maybe you could do something like that. Charge people £1,000 a piece to go to a Jacobean wedding
and pay for their own costumes.
With advice, you'd give them advice,
or give them a sketch,
No. They have to go through our art tailors. We team up. You make the exclusivity of the event and the personalization of the event part of it. I could go with that. Okay, anyway, we've had this discussion before. We will continue having it. Certainly what we will do is, as ever, keep nudging towards something that's viable, something that we could do. A podcast iteration following the model we've done for Lord Mayor's shows might be possible, in the sense that we might be able to do something with music and the actual text, but the actual dancing stuff becomes the backstage gossip, if we've got any, for each individual text. And then maybe in the direction of simple animation or things like that. Those are sort of the things in my mind which are scalable before we look to trying to exploit the incredibly wealthy. But hey, it's not it's not without. Yeah, I like it. Okay. All that remains is to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.